Peace, love, and light, guys. Just got Professor O coming through with a dose of that good yolk. I'm everywhere like broken glass and around like a circle. Anyway, anyhow, let's get down to this round now. Today I want to talk about, see, I was in the spot, on my usual day, and I felt, I usually didn't do this. I usually just write down my notes, but I got so inspired that I wrote it down on a sheet of paper. I always got the handy dandy notebook in the spot. Don't make it hot. Who writes in script? Clearly, the boy still does. And clearly, I still write in script. It is what it is. But at the same time, I felt so inspired that I just didn't want to write in my handy dandy notebook. This is my morning routine, etc. and so forth. But anytime I'm out, I don't really touch my handy dandy notebook unless I'm truly and utterly inspired to put it down in it. But this inspired me, but it was more immediate. But I'm not sure if I even made a video about this, but we're going to get to it anyway. So the topic today is, why is inner work important? Inner work is so important because you're literally refining yourself from the inside out. You're doing the inner work. Now, I spoke about this entirely. A lot of us go through a lot of trials, tribulations, problems, things we can't control as we were as a child. You know what I mean? We weren't maybe a lot of us wasn't properly defended. A lot of us was in situations that we shouldn't have been in and wasn't destined to be in at all. And it caused a lot of mental and physical problems that you may even still clearly deal with today. I see a lot of individuals that do that. But the problem is that a lot of individuals today, when they become conscious of their inner complications, I like to say, they don't want to take responsibility for making a change towards it. They don't want to make the difference. They don't want to go inside and address themselves there, because when they go inside, they see who they are. And again, this involves when the inner light comes on. They want to point the finger and they want to live with their complications and live with their issues instead of looking at themselves and be like, currently at this point in time, you are a piece of shit and you do not want to change. And that's the issue. Point blank, period. People just want to stick to something that's old. Again, we don't use payphones anymore. We have cell phones. You know what I'm saying? We're not using dial-up anymore. There's Wi-Fi. You have to move with the times. The future is always going to be coming. It's just what it is. So why do you fight against it? You're literally going against the grain. And when you go against the grain, you're going to be ran over, because time is of the essence and time is always going in one direction, period. It's just, if you like it, you don't like it, it doesn't matter, because you're either going to be ahead of time, moving with time, or be behind time. There are those that are behind time and they want to stay there and create environments that are behind time. There are those that are moving with time and they're barely moving with it, because if you're not ahead of it and you're moving with it, you're struggling, because you're never going to be able to be ahead of the trend, because trends are changing so drastically and rapidly. So it's good to be ahead of time, and the other way to be ahead of time is to be conscious of the time that you are in and doing your own thing and moving with the groove. Point blank, period. But I say all that to say this, is that I'm dealing, and I see this because on my path of healing and path of journey, I do a lot of inner work. This is what this channel is all about, inner work. When you're doing a lot of inner work, you start to realize that you see a lot of others who are either on the same similar path, who have done a lot of healing, because you're able to converse and you can see where the comprehension is at in your midst of the conversation and how they address you and how they address themselves. And you can see those that kind of just ignored it and they added more traits onto them to kind of mask it, etc. and so forth. And again, this is not to judge anybody, because how you handle your hurt, I can't determine it. But what I am here to say in my videos is that there's a better way of doing it, and healing is always beneficial for not just you, but for your environment. But a lot of people don't want to do that, and they feel like nothing is wrong with them, or they just, you know what I mean? Like, you got to realize error is generational. So if your parents did it wrong and their parents did it wrong, and then their parents did it wrong, and they teach you a wrong way and they feel like this is the right way, but when it isn't the right way, all because losers raise losers, and losers wouldn't want to raise a winner, because then they'll take it personally. You got to realize that's just what it is. So again, when you're dealing with situations, and I'm talking about people who's out there that may have been dealing with problems that they don't even know, that's been dealing since childhood, whatever the case may be, you're not responsible for anything that happened to you as a child. But when you become a conscious life form of a proper age of understanding that something isn't right internally, then you become responsible for making a change towards yourself. Do you want to, again, and that's what I'm kind of explaining my situation. I'm very long-winded with it, right? I got the points here, so I'm gonna get right to it. But involving that is when the inner light turns on, it's not eureka, is when you see exactly where the issue is internally, and do you make the change there? When you make the change there, then you start to see how it affects everything around you. Your responses change, your perspective changes. Everything changes because you're aligning yourself to who you are. You were fragmented priorly. Now you're patching up the cracks, putting a little grout in between the lines. You're decorating it. Now it's looking a little bit more pretty than it was musty. You're taking out the garbage. You're cleaning it up. You're sweeping up the dirt. You're seeing some traits that, oh wow, these will actually be beneficial for who I am now. Now you're refining them. And then after you're refining them, you're seeing the things, oh, I was impatient, or etc. I wasn't understanding. You're throwing those traits out because those no longer serve who you're becoming. But you also got to realize when you're becoming something different that won't be understood by those who did not do it, because remember, the inner light turns on for everybody. It does not discriminate. But a lot of people make that, if you hit the fork in the road, it's either you're going to pick up the dustpan and broom and start cleaning yourself up, or you're going to turn that light off and say, ain't nothing wrong with me, I'm okay, this, that, and the third, blah, 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 blah. And you don't stop. And it does, again, it becomes more and more. You add more dirt in because you feel like you're confirming yourself who you are instead of doing the inner work. And when you do the inner work, you're reforming yourself, you're refining yourself. I digress. I become very long-winded. You know this by now. I got the points in the spot. Of course, it's the handy dandy notebook in the spot, don't make it hot, but I got this sheet that's not weak. Can you dig what I'm saying? Written it down. Who writes the script? Clearly, still your boy still does. So let's get down to it. It's important because taking accountability of molding who you are into your desired self. Because you can see, you got to realize everyone sees a portion of their future self, and it's very beautiful. But at the end of the day, who you are in the future is not who you are today. And the issue with that is that when you're becoming somebody that can be relevant, that can be beneficial, that can be positive, you got to realize a lot of the traits that you may have now, you don't have at that point, or then, more so speaking. But how can you get to that point? When you start making a change, and now you're aligning to your future self. Now you're become that future self that you see yourself as. But you gotta realize your future self ain't the one out there drinking, smoking, partying, boogalooing, this, that, and the third, spending money on these hoes that ain't going nowhere. You gotta make sure you keep it going, you know what I'm saying? And no, because everybody love hoes, everybody love all that. I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to make you feel bad. I'm not here to do anything. All I'm saying is, if you want to be the official version of yourself, align yourself to who that is by doing the initial inner work. Everything you do on the inside will reflect on the outside. Can you dig what I'm saying? I think you can. We are not responsible for the things we experience as a child, but we are responsible for knowledge we have and catering our experience to who we want to become. And I was just explaining that a little bit earlier in the video, and that kind of is self-explanatory for me. So I don't really need to delve too much into that. We'll just leave that right there. That's why each experience is different and yet the same. I would really like this. We experience pain, problems, trials, tribulations, etc. so forth that are unique to us, but how we approach them is the same. Realize that everyone has, again, I'll say this before, if everyone came together and they all put their trials, their tribulations, their shit right on the table, and you seen it for what it was, you're able to see his piece of shit, her piece of shit, all that shit is out there. And excuse my diction, I really am working on how to explain myself a little bit more better, so I won't be using profanity. But in the meantime, in between time, I'm just explaining the situation, so let's deal with it. And you're seeing that all the shit is there. You see everybody's shit that's on the table, your shit's there, everybody sees this shit. I guarantee you would take yours and run. Why? Because at the same time, you don't know what any other person is going through. You don't know the weight of the shoulder boulder that they're carrying. You don't know how heavy it is and for how long, and how much shit they may have added to mask it and they're trying to heal. Because at the same time, a lot of people don't know how to heal, because they will never show that healing is a personal duty. Now, I'm not ever denying anybody a therapist. I'm never denying anybody professional psychological evaluation and help. Those things serve their purpose. But if you don't know who you are, how can you help an outside source come to a medium? You want to heal. You know what I'm saying? But again, it is what it is. So when you're dealing with situations like that and you're trying to figure out exactly how to heal, how to do the inner work, it's all about making that first firm decision, like something isn't right, I want to be right, and then you take that path. The minute you make that firm decision in your head, internally, it'll show externally. Point blank period. And then you start making a decision. Now, of course, this is going to make everybody else around you, they're going to feel personal about it. They're going to be like, who do you think you are? Well, you think you're better than me? Oh, you think you could do this and I can't, this, that, and the third? And it has nothing to do with them at all. But you got to also realize your light will offend others, because as you keep your light on and you're cleaning the light bulb, you're cleaning out the sockets, you're cleaning everything out, you're making it so the power can kind of surge through a little bit more better, more stronger. You need to realize as you're doing that, it's not going to be attractive to people who turn their light off, because their light is automatically going to turn on, and now they're going to go inward and see who they are, because they see you becoming who you want to be, who they see you are. Because a lot of people can see your potential. That's the interesting thing about potential. We can see potential. We can see a vast amount of potential in everybody else except for ourselves. Literally, I can look at somebody and I can see the potential on where they're going and how they're going if they applied it in that certain area. And I'm pretty sure it is vice versa with me. But when it comes to doing inward sight to see in my own potential, I may see myself very, very high. And even as I see myself to the highest point of my potential, I could still be shortcoming myself in someone else's eyes, because they can see that deep. They can see, everyone else can see everyone else's potential in a very vast amount, because they know what they would do with the traits that they see. But when it comes to inside work, that's when it becomes a little bit more damning and more personal, and a little bit more, it takes a very developed eye to be able to see your potential and actualize it, because now you're only dealing with who you are and the traits that you know you have. You're not dealing with anyone else, because anytime we see the potential in someone else, we're looking at their traits and we're looking at how you're able to use their traits if you had them yourself. But when you're dealing with yourself, you got to really know who you are and understand the traits that you already have, and what traits will be able to add to your arsenal to be able to complement and become a better person, or some traits that need to be discarded because they haven't been serving you and they've just been comforting you. And that's just what it is from that point. And yeah, I guess we're going to end it off right there. Again, this message is for the adept out there, for the master, the expert, the proficient, efficient, selfish, the one that's always doing it and never losing it, that's growing, that's going at all times. Keep it up, keep it up, keep it up. And remember, speak good, see good, do good. Come when it is good, it's all good. Can you dig it? And for the haters out there that love looking at your boy, make sure you look at my good side, because you know that I'm sexy. Can you dig what I'm saying? I think you can. Peace, love, and light. I'll see you guys in the next video.